Welcome to the Business Mechanic Show. This is your host, Vaughn Sigmund. Today, we're going to be talking about 4 tenets of leadership skills. I want to offer to you 4 key skill sets that every manager must possess to become a highly results-driven leader. You see, I've been thinking about this whole Great Resignation and quiet quitting thing for a while now. And like in last week's video and podcast, I talked about it's likely the manager that is creating this. It's not some offshoot of the pandemic. And it's been important for a very long time. These 4 skills have been important for a very long time as a display of effective leadership. It all is based on you've got to manage the feelings of your employees. It's their heart and their connection to you that is the key for them doing a good job for you. It's that connection that you as a manager create with them. Only you can do that. And always remembering that being a leader must be earned. It doesn't come with your title. Not all managers are leader. And it's never very easy. And you never can forget the fact that they work for you, not the company. So when they either quietly quit or fully resign, they're quitting you, not the company. And at the same time, the employees that you have, they work hard and go above and beyond. They may have some natural strengths and drive that others on your team don't, but still, you can easily squash that motivation by handling your leadership responsibilities ineffectively. And it's all too common. I hear about great employees becoming problem employees. And when we backtrack, when we get to the root cause of it, when we investigate it, and that investigation is completed as to why this great employee went off the rails, it's always something, almost always something, I better put it like that, always something that was done by a manager or communicated by a manager that took that connection and broke it. It took the drive right out of them. As an analogy, when you put the wrong fuel into a high performance machine, you get lower performance, if not an outright breakdown. But let's face it, the idea of becoming a touchy-feely leader sounds inherently soft and weak to many managers out there. And for those of you who are lacking empathy or the feels for their people, what I'm talking about right now may sound really distasteful. However, if you think about it, if you're somebody that's driven to achieve, hit their goals, advance their career, be highly successful, and all the things you're responsible for, and if you have the desire to personally grow and achieve, taking what I share in today's podcast and video and making it a part of your leadership style will make your job easier and you'll be much more respected and much more effective. And again, I know to most cynical managers amongst us that might be listening to this, anything interpreted as guidance to be kind and nice to employees is at the direct expense of setting aggressive goals and holding people accountable. Lead from the heart? No, thank you. Not going to do that. But listen up. I might have a couple things here that you will find make sense. And if you apply them, you're going to have greater success from what I share today. So what strategies can managers employ to ensure they're appealing to the employees' feelings and needs, emotional drive, and building a strong leadership connection with them? Well, here's a quick list for you. Thing one, anybody that's a fan of this podcast and listens to it often, it is the foundational element of being successful in business and leadership. You got to hire people that fit the role and fit you. The most important lesson I ever learned about building a results-driven team is this. Make it your intention, make it your standard, make it the only way you do this, that every person you interview and hire will have the right competencies to fit your team and culture. Everyone you see has work that they're good at. And they ignite their passions because they're good at that. That's their strength. That's their natural ability. But managers far too frequently put people into roles that don't match up to those talents or passions. It's, not only do they hire bad fits behaviorally to the role, sometimes they even move, transfer, promote people into new roles that aren't good for them. And that creates lower productivity. It creates dysfunction. And you've got to expect, because you'd be irrational otherwise, to think that somebody is doing a job that they're not into is going to be passionate about it and good at it. That's just not how humans work. They're going to be about half-hearted. And my training courses emphasize that leaders need to resist the temptation of putting someone into a job where they don't belong. See, making rushed hires, just filling a seat, is a huge mistake. You cannot just make it hire to get it done, get it off your list. Huge mistake. The goal is always, the standard is always to hire someone who can wholeheartedly commit to the role. And almost as equally as important, to fit your leadership style and the needs of your culture. How do you do this? Well, you got to use the proper interview techniques, the same ones I offer in my course, How to Hire Great People. If you understand how to follow the architecture, the blueprint that I give you, and how to hire great people, you're almost there. You're almost there. You're not completely there, but you're almost there. And click on the link in the show notes to get a free version of this course. Not only will you get the full video that explains how to use behavioral interview approaches, you'll also gain access to the interview guide that gives you all the questions. It gives you a scoring section to all of it. You get a phone interview, you get a full interview guide, you get everything you need. You get competencies, these behaviors that you're looking for. You can choose yours that fit your role, fit your company, fit you. It's everything you need to uncover in any candidate if they're going to be a behavioral fit for you, your company, and your role. It's not experience. Hiring experienced people has rarely led to success. You've got to hire the right people, regardless of their experience. Experience helps, but it cannot be the primary reason to be attracted to someone. You've never fired anybody because of poor experience. You've fired everybody that you've ever fired, or you're frustrated, or you're underperformers. That has nothing to do with their experience. It has to do with their behaviors, their mindsets, their competencies. Are they naturally built to work for you in that role in your organization and culture? So click on the link below, free course. Never done this before. Take advantage of it. The next thing, and this really gets you here. If you add this into your interview pattern and hiring pattern. So to get even closer to perfection in your new hire selection, You must utilize a pre-employment assessment like DISC or Talasure to confirm they possess. Get the science, get the facts, not just based on this good interview. You interview them, pick your candidates, then you give them a DISC assessment or a Talasure assessment that uncovers their cognitive ability, their behavioral patterns, and matches it to your role. Do they possess these? Are they a good fit to be successful? The small investment you make in using these will save you tons of money and time and frustration. And you will gain a very high likelihood of success with a huge reduction in performance issues. And just imagine the time savings of not dealing with performance issues, missed deadlines, mistakes, missed deliveries, infighting, dysfunction. It eliminates a lot of the fires you have to fight every day. These day-to-day, not important things that you spend so much of your time on. It's awesome. It's an awesome process. I've utilized it. I've taught it to dozens of companies. When they utilize it properly, not everybody does, but when they utilize it properly, they get a huge improvement in their organization. Huge. So again, because I'm feeling generous today, if you have personally not completed a DISC assessment, use the link below in the show notes to get one for free. Take it. You'll get back about a 37-page report. Pretty complete. You'll see all about you. You'll understand you and your behavioral patterns. And once you see yours, you'll get a very clear understanding of how to use this tool for future hires. So take advantage of it. Moving on to skill set number 2. To move from manager to leader, the next skill set you need to have is you have to have the ability and make sure you connect with them. Study after study, survey after survey tells us that this is a huge portion of not only being a good leader, but getting your people to perform well for you. Many traditional mindsets and opinions believe that connecting more personally with employees might complicate the leader-employee relationship. I can't get too close to them. They'll take advantage of me. But research and the facts reveal quite the opposite. Leaders who make a personal connection with employees can inspire higher achievement. Authors Marcus Buckingham and Ashley Goodall share in their book that employees need this attention and connection to survive. Their research shows that leaders who check in weekly and personally with all team members have a far higher level of engagement and performance with reduced turnover. It's very important, very important. Now, I say you're going to connect with them personally. If you're in a virtual or a hybrid environment, you don't check in with Slack. I don't mean to be condescending, but it's not Slack. It's not an email. It's not a text message. It needs to be a chat, a video chat. It can't just be a text. So that would be easy, but it's not very effective. So take a minutes, a handful of minutes each week to check in, see how they're doing, and discuss something you know is important to them. Always remembering, tying this back to one of my previous early statements, is they work for you, not the company. If you show that you have a genuine interest in them, they will become more motivated to perform at a higher level for you. Now, let's talk about the difference between manager and leader. Managers tell people what to do. Leaders drive the motivation for people to do what they should do, and it makes them want to do it. Managers tell, leaders motivate. And often unknowing and untrained managers use a one-size-fits-all approach, telling people what to do all day, every day. Does that get some things done? Absolutely. But if you are constantly frustrated by some team members being slow to complete assignments or making frequent mistakes based on what you had told them to do, check yourself. You're missing this key leadership element. And let me just give you a really simple example of this, just flipping one little piece of your approach from telling to asking, from telling people what to do to asking people what to do. It's magic. Here's an example. Larry, take out the trash versus, hey, Larry, will you do me a favor? When you have some time, would you mind taking out the trash for me? Simple flip. Which one would you personally respond better to? Do you respond better to being told what to do or wanting to go do something? You see, when you build this connection and you ask people to go do something for it, they're doing it for you and they don't mind doing it for you. They're much more likely to do it with a smile on their face versus being told what to do. It's very rare that I can find anybody on this planet that is motivated by being told what to do. You've got to like and respect who you're working for. Go take the steps, connect with them, find out some things about them personally. You're not going to become a family counselor. You're not going to do that. But know that they have children, know that they have interest and hobbies and things that they do outside of work. Know what they're passionate about. Ask them about it every now and then. So easy, zero cost, by the way. And the third thing, you need to empower your employees. Empower your employees. This is another common misconception that maximizing human potential and spending time developing team members, I don't have time for that. I wholeheartedly disagree with that assumption because my experience in all the years of being a manager and an executive is that employee output only accelerates when people feel supported in their expansion and career progression, that they're growing in their jobs, they're growing in their learning, and that you're looking out for them and helping them get better at what they do. Not everybody's going to get promoted to the next level. I'm not professing that. But if you can continue to find things in their current role that they can get better at or train them on, expand some of their responsibilities, well, as a leader, you'll excel when everyone on your team is in an ongoing process of broadening and deepening their capabilities. In other words, give them the opportunity to learn and do other things. Train them for expanded roles. Delegate to them. Cross-train them. Let me just give you a quick story that happened just last week. Quick story. A manager in a manufacturing facility shared this with me. She's a participant in my class that I'm doing with this company every 2 weeks. And she'd shared with me that she had taken this very advice and gone out and given 2 of her team members some training on part of the manufacturing process that they had never asked to learn. So she never thought they wanted to learn, much less that they could be any good at it. So she took my advice and she pulled these two aside, showed them the ropes. This is in the aerospace business. It's a very hand-built product that they make. She showed them the ropes, and to her utter surprise and pleasure, I might add, the two of them not only were very good at this, something they'd never done before, but they were super enthusiastic that they could now perform that function. And this manager's now telling me this story and how all of a sudden she's benefited because now she has two more people that can fill that role when the production needs require it, which makes her life easier and, by the way, reduces her overtime spend. She was grinning from ear to ear. And she told me that she never would have thought of this before. She never would have thought of this before the class. But after the class, she was willing to try it. But one of the reasons for her not doing it in the past is, in her mind, the fact that these two employees had never asked to be trained on anything else meant they didn't want to be trained. And managers, that's a huge fallacy. That's a huge fallacy in many managers' minds. Because you see, the bulk of the employee workforce is under assertive. It's 68, maybe 70% of your workforce is under assertive. And they don't feel in their minds that it's okay to ask for new assignments. They're perfectly happy doing what they're doing, but they're not excelling at it. So as a leader, you must now look at your entire team for expansion opportunities and begin scaling their knowledge. Not everybody. Not everybody's ready for this, but they will be. So you just can't go out the next day and say, oh, okay, everybody's getting trained. Be selective, find a person or a couple people and start working on that. Then find a couple more, then find a couple more, find out what they want to do, find out what their life's goals and passions are, and how learning more and providing more, be more productive and successful in their roles is going to make them happier. Back to that connection. The additional reason why purposely growing employees is so vital to your team and your organization is you, as a leader, are now growing too. You just learned something or are getting better at what you do. You're moving further into your leadership skill set. Think about it. Skill set number 4. You've got to be inspirational as a leader. To go from an effective manager to a highly effective leader, you've got to be inspirational. And I'm not telling you have to be a cheerleader. You don't have to be rah, rah. Here's what you need to do. There are few things that, as a human, is as powerful on any of us as hearing our boss tell us that they're proud of us. No cost. All you have to do is thank them, show them that you care, appreciate what they're doing, and give them the encouragement of your words. Because managers too often disregard how critically important this is to people. It's probably pretty important to yourself. You probably don't get it very often either, but you need to give it to your people. And I got to tell you, you're going to see a turnaround in the performance of your people as you continue doing this and getting better at it, because it deeply inspires and encourages people to create and sustain high performance levels. And unlike pay and raises and bonuses, those financial rewards are only temporary. But being praised and recognized is an expression of your care. And this is what ultimately affects the motivation in people and inspires them to do their best work. I am not professing for a minute you need to be a Tony Robbins weekend. It's not it. We're not bouncing around and saying, if you do it that way and it works for you, that's fine. But any of you like me, that's not what I want to do. But I can thank people. I can share kind words and appreciative words to them because I truly do. I mean, we wouldn't get anything done if it wasn't for them. And if you want to see good behaviors replicated, well, managers, you must be consistently and swiftly acknowledging your employees' value and accomplishments. I often mention the emotional bank account. Each of your employees has one. You do too. But to be a results-driven leader, you have to make deposits in them, knowing that at some point, due to accountability requirements, you will need to make a withdrawal. You're going to have to give them developmental feedback at some point, which sometimes is a bit of a setback emotionally for them. But if you've got a high enough bank account, a high enough bank balance in their emotional bank account, they recover very quickly. So you've got to make deposits at a higher level than withdrawals. And make a deposit, give them a compliment, show that you appreciate, share in your words that you notice them doing a good job, even if it's them just doing their job. It doesn't have to be some above and beyond accomplishment. Just tell them how much you appreciate their work and regularly thank them for being there, even for mundane things. Simple, easy, no cost. It's got to be heartfelt. It's got to be genuine. You've got to be you. Do it in a way that works for you. But this is one of the biggest missteps that unknowing and untrained managers make is just not taking a few minutes, maybe up to 15 minutes a week, and just showing your people how much you appreciate them one-on-one. If you are, as a manager, believe that you've got to catch things that are wrong and fix them, absolutely true. You've got to do that. But if the majority of your feedback you provide to your employees is only you finding what they do wrong, well, that's completely demotivating to them. And they're not going to like working for you very much, because you become hard to please, overly demanding, maybe even cold to them. And you may be cold because they don't have that connection with you. They don't know who you are either. And listen, you're not going to go clubbing on the weekends. That's not what I'm saying. But you're going to show them your appreciation. Well, and some of you may hear this and think, well, that's not me. No one's ever told me that I'm overly demanding and cold and hard to please. No one's ever told me that. Well, sorry, partner. It's not what you think. It's what they think. And you are likely not clearly aware of their perceptions of you. You're just not. And if you are in your actions, that manager that points out mostly things done wrong and rarely what is done right, well, people aren't going to think much of you. Plus, let's get real. Let's get real. They will never tell you directly with words until you completely screw the pooch. When they finally blow their top and HR gets a hold of it, or your boss gets a hold of it, and they've just had more than they can stand, they will reach a boiling point. But if you have underperformance and poor follow through, well, that's a sign that That's how they're judging you, as being not very thankful of them, not appreciating them. All you're focused on is what's going wrong. And quiet quitters are judging you that way, for sure. And also, for sure, any of your people who have quit for another job, they just told you that you're that way. You either hired the wrong person, you didn't provide the first three things I talked about, or you're being this manager that only points out what's wrong. Don't do that. And they quit for not the reason they gave you. They will not tell you the truth. So get over yourself. That's whatever they told you. Go find a better opportunity. Well, that's code for, I didn't like working for you. You see, 70% of the population is conflict avoidant and will not tell you what their true opinion is. But they will tell you with their actions. They will tell you with passive aggressiveness what they think about you. So I'm going to wrap it up with that. Let's go back through these 4 tenets real quick. You need to hire the right fits, right? And then once you've got them on board, you need to connect with them. And then you need to get into the process of getting to know your current employees, connect with them, find out some personal things about them, and regularly discuss that on a weekly basis with them. Touch base with them weekly on this. Then you need to empower them, train them, expand them, make them feel like they're learning and growing every day, that you care about their ability to get better. And then be inspirational by showing your appreciation with kind words and making deposits into the emotional bank account. Those 4 things are so simple. And they demonstrate why people naturally and instinctively respond to managers who care about them with high performance and low turnover, because you're filling the deepest of human needs. You understand that? This is all simple and easy to do. You probably, if you're not doing it, just didn't know about it. We've got all these sort of things in our courses. So check out our courses, develop you as a manager, or your managers if you're an executive or leader. Go to rdltraining.com. That's Romeo Delta Lima training.com. We have a very complete and affordable online training program. It's that you can self-pace yourself. It's not a class. We have virtual classes. We have in-person classes. We also have online training. So I think we got the gambit for you. Check it out, rdltraining.com. Thank you all for listening. And I look forward to seeing you all next week.